Ilgaz Uluslararası Oda Müziği Festivali'nden hepinize merhabalar sevgili müzikseverler. Bugün dünyanın en iyi müzik okullarından birisi olarak nitelendirilen Viyana Müzik ve Sahne Sanatları Üniversitesi'nden Joseph Haydn Oda Müziği ve Yeni Müzik Enstitüsü'nden akademisyen, oda müziği ve keman sanatçısı Johannes Meissl ile birlikteyiz. Welcome Mr. Meissl.
It's my pleasure to be with you, but I'm very well prepared and I'm actually happy to contribute.
How are you?
I can assure you that I'm healthy. I am tested every other day, but not yet vaccinated. But I hope that rather soon I will get a date, an appointment for that.
I hope so.
So, well, the general situation is, of course, also challenging here in Vienna in terms of keeping up the academic business and work. But I think we are doing quite okay. But we are trying not only to cope with the current situation, but also already to work for what can be afterwards.
How do you think it's going to look like?
Well, nobody can foresee at the moment how long it will still take before the major restrictions of the pandemic will be gone. But the longer this situation goes on, problematic, of course, for all activities and all musicians and artists who are not part of institutions that are publicly funded. We actually expect that there will be a certain rearrangement of the music market also, and we see it as our duty to accompany and prepare the young people in the best way with the situation after the pandemic.
When do you think serious chamber music classes or education should start for young musicians?
First of all, I think the start of chamber music practice can actually not be early enough, because what chamber music implies is that at the same moment when a young musician or a musician, no matter which age, produces the sound he or she has in mind, in his sound imagination, he or she has to be able to listen to what the others are doing at the same moment. And this is something that needs a lot of training. So to answer your question, I think it cannot start early enough. In an academic way, though, of course, a certain level of mastering the instrument, a certain level of instrumental accomplishment has to be there, because otherwise it doesn't really make sense to try to really work seriously on ensemble playing together. If there is an environment with a good and solid instrumental education, in my experience, it is really good to start, let's say, at the age of 12 or at the latest 14, to accustom the musicians that also their own experience with their own playing is a different one when they are playing together with others than if they just focus on what they are producing themselves. Chamber music is so much of a social experience also that I think it should be part of any serious efforts in education.
Do you offer specialization in chamber music for bachelor students?
Just to give you an idea of our bit diverse structure in curriculum structures, in the main performance instruments, we still don't have a bachelor master, but a diploma structure of a 6 years diploma course, which is divided into 4 years, very similar to bachelor, and 2 years, very similar to master. And within this structure, for all the performance instruments, we do have certain chamber music focus possibility within the first years and a real chamber music profile then for the last 2 years, which is the equivalent to the master level. We do have a strong compulsory chamber music part for all performance student courses. So to answer your question, despite the fact that at least for string and wind instruments, we do not have the bachelor-master structure in the performance department. And another thing that I want to maybe explain about the structure here in Vienna at our university is we do have chamber music master program, but the students within the master program are not restricted just to their fellow master chamber music students, but they can play together with all the performance students of the solo curricula also, which opens the field of collaboration to quite big number of people, because in all this means taking in also the piano students. By the way, piano has a bachelor and master structure, but it's the same there. So it's about 800 students or 900 students who can mingle and form chamber music groups according to the possibilities, needs and requirements.
It means that actually it is possible to form any type of chamber music ensemble.
I can say in principle, yes. But this is one of your follow-up questions. Of course, every university has a certain delicate balance to find, because normally at every school within the string department, there are more violins than there are celli and violas. Within the wind department, normally there are more flutes and clarinets than oboes and bassoons and horns. And despite the quite big number of students in general, we also face the same inequality in the distribution. So we cannot always assure everybody that we are able to meet the wishes and demands of every single student at any time. So it might be that students have to wait for a semester or two to find the group they really want to work with, but within they have to be happy with what they get. But still, we have the good situation that we are able to form real ensembles from the homogeneous ensembles like string quartet as a focus, string trio, then the classical formations like piano trio with the strings, but then all sorts of mixed ensembles with wind instruments, even also including it's also guitar and it's also harp and it's also singing.
How the entrance exams looks like?
I would like to start with the entrance exams for the master degree in chamber music. This, after a certain restructuring of our programs, has become a very challenging and very important point in a student's life, because since we only have at the most 2.5 or 3 years at our disposal to fulfill all the requirements of the curriculum, we need to assure that the instrumental and also the artistic development level at the point of entering the course is high enough to see a very good probability that the course can be completed successfully, because there's not so much time. So you cannot make up for things that are basically not there. And therefore, the requirement for the instrumental level is very high. That's one thing that we have a part of a solo presentation for the chamber music master, which in terms of what students are supposed to present equals at least a successful bachelor final exam. And then we have a chamber music part where at least 3 different examples, like one movement of different formations has to be presented. Then we have sight reading and a certain creative part. Candidates can also dance or recite or whatever, present something they do apart from the regular instrumental work. And we have an interview And now during times of pandemic, we transformed these parts of the entrance exam into pre-recorded videos. And I must say, diversity and the quality of the things of the successful sent in by the successful applicants is stunning. Really impressive. Really works well. So that's for the chamber music master program.
How do you accept students? As groups like quartets or trios, or individuals may also apply for chamber music master program?
That is a very good question. System, after first strong reflection and then also following experience, still is open for individuals to enter the master program for chamber music. At MDW, we are also accepting full groups who then have to pass, every member, the entrance audition, of course. We think that a chamber music master program that involves also in the final exam part of solo performance and covers a variety of different forms of chamber music playing and not just with one ensemble is better able to equip graduates with what they might need in their further professional life, because even if they have a main group with which they are able to do what they really love the most, like playing string quartet or piano trio or woodwind quintet, the reality in their professional life will bring them together with lots of different situations, or bring them in lots of different situations, and they better learned about the different requirements in different instrument combinations, in different settings, in different situations, the better for them. So that's the reason why we decided to keep this individual access for the chamber music master program.
When do you think chamber music classes should start in the institutions which offers only 4 years of bachelor degree?
Well, this is not a really easy question, because as far as I understand, the problem is that the quality level of the accepted students is very heterogeneous, from rather basic to advanced. What is not fruitful and possible is to put people together at random with very differing instrumental levels of accomplishment. This doesn't lead anywhere, because the good ones get restricted and hindered by the bad ones, and the bad ones always feel bad because, the not so accomplished ones to be. And that's, of course, a real problem. This requires, if you want to start earlier, which I would basically support, because only 2 years is maybe too little, but it needs a very good differentiation, and you need to see very well, if you are in a responsible position, whom you actually can put together so that it might be fruitful and sensible and not torture for everybody. It's a difficult question, and I would, if you accept, I would like to refrain from any commentary about general systems and structures, because this is something that every country has to solve itself. Of course, it's always helpful to know what is going on elsewhere and exchange information, but I will certainly not make any comment what I think is good or not good. I just can have maybe a couple of nice proposals or a bit of an advice. So to come back, the basic qualities you have to learn in playing together, you cannot start to learn early enough. But it is necessary to find ways around this problem that you might have too many totally heterogeneous steps or levels. The differences in the living situations, living environments of so many young people, kids, make it problematic not to exclude anybody principally from following his or her dream in life. So I think for an institution like ours, the challenge is really to be as open as possible to an informal preparation, but you have to prove a certain level because otherwise it doesn't make sense to enter the studies, because we need at the same time to observe very carefully our quality assurance. So you see that this dichotomy between being as inclusive as possible and give chances to people like what you described now, but at the same time, of course, we have to make decisions for whom it might be really realistic and promising, and not just, oh, it's so nice that you love it so much and please come to us. Because if there is, it's also about responsibility, and it's about responsibility towards using public money, because a high profile education in performance art is quite cost intensive. And in Austria, this is, at least for EU members, paid for in full by public money, by taxpayers' money.
Thank you very much, Mr. Meissl. Before we end our interview today here, is there anything else you would like to add?
I would actually like to address that I have had a couple of very nice and rather close connections to young aspiring Turkish musicians, and I hope that this will be coming back in a way.
Maybe.
It was individuals, but also I remember a string quartet, and I would love to see a future where there is more connection again between young aspiring Turkish chamber musicians and our life here in Central Europe.
I hope so. I also hope that it's going to turn into a long-term professional collaboration.
I'm very open, and I think we had a very nice and interesting exchange now. And I wish you all the best for your festival and the rest of the festival. And I'm sure you will manage and cope with the challenges of COVID. And there will be a future without COVID, I'm sure. And then let's stay in touch.
Of course, Professor. Thank you very much for your time and your collaboration. It's really priceless.
Thank you. My pleasure.